More damage is done to animals and crops in the United States from fluoride pollution than any other pollutant. Isn't that amazing? But you never hear about it, do you? That's because they've been able to erase from your memory the knowledge that fluoride is a violent protoplasmic poison. Everybody but Webster's forgotten that. So back to the dictionary, violent protoplasmic poison. Don't let them put that in the water. Don't let them put that in the air. I'm Dr. David Kennedy. I'm past president of the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology, and I'm their spokesperson for the problem of fluoridation, or fluoride, as many people refer to it. So one of the first things you got to do is you got to understand that fluoride is used topically. It's like sunblock. You know, you rub it on your skin. You don't drink it. And here's a tube of toothpaste that has fluoride in it, added to it. It's actually about 1,000 parts per million. And it says, same warning that's on a .38 caliber pistol that's loaded. It says, keep out of reach of children. And use only a pea-sized amount. And if the amount used in brushing is swallowed, call the Poison Control Center. Well, there's about the same amount of fluoride in a bottle of water. So should I call the Poison Control Center as soon as I drink the bottle of water, or should I call them before and say I'm going to drink the bottle of water, and in time I'm going to develop fluoride-related illnesses, thyroid, hip fracture, bone cancers in young boys. It's insane to put a topical drug in the public water supply. If you buy bottled water and you go read on the label, what's in it? It says no fat. Well, wouldn't there be fat floating on top? They don't have to tell me there's no fat in that, because water doesn't generally have fat in it. No carbohydrate, no sugar, no protein. It's just water. We have food labels on water. Now that seems kind of strange. Why would that happen? That's because we have lobbyists. People who sell water don't want to tell you what the water's made out of, because when they make it out of tap water, you get the fluoride. Because when you put it in the water, it doesn't leave the water. That's the fallacy of them going to get their bottled water, because what are you going to get the fluoride? What did the company get the fluoride out with? Reverse osmosis? Doesn't work. So, filter doesn't work. Oh. So, how are they going to get the fluoride out? Well, you can run it through mad cow bones, bone char. That'll suck it out. Then you have a little trouble with the prions, but maybe we can filter those out or something. And then we've got aluminum. You can run it through activated aluminum. So now you can have aluminum water. That's real tasty. Once it's in the water, it's very difficult to remove. You have to basically distill the water. OEHA has to decide whether or not they're going to put the label on the bottle. They don't want that label on the bottle because that's bad for sales. And so if you put the label on the bottle that tells you the truth, all of a sudden you'd be able to go buy bottled water that didn't have fluoride in it, because they would leave that label off because they'd take this stuff out. And so we need Prop 65 to protect us once again with just a little bit of label. So, by the way, this product contains fluoride, a substance known to the state of California to cause cancer. Everybody forgets that in the 20s it was used to kill thyroids, but you didn't drink it. You took a bath in it. Oh, I see. It goes right through skin. Ah, how clever. So now, even if you protect your lips, if you want to take a bath, you'll get your daily dose. And you get your dose from your crackers, you get your dose from your cereal, you get your dose from your beer. I see. So once you put something in the water, whether it's lead or arsenic or fluoride, it ends up in everything. You know, we measured cereal. Wheaties was high in fluoride. Fruit Loops was high in fluoride. Wait a minute. Is there Fruit Loops? How did it get in there? Anything in a box or a can that's processed in a city that has fluoride in the water supply is going to have a lot more fluoride in the product. So when you put it in the water, you spread it throughout the entire community, and that is a crime. Fluoride will bond with every other element in the periodic chart, including the inert gases. It will strip an electron. It is the strongest electronegative molecule in the whole world. If it works at all, that's why it works, because it is a deadly poison. Don't take my word for it. Go over and get the Webster's Dictionary and look it up. It says it's a violent protoplasmic poison. You know what protoplasm is? We're protoplasm. So it's a violent poison for living things. It will kill rats, it'll kill dogs, it'll kill horses. I have a video out on horses. It'll kill all manner of living things. And so obviously brushing your teeth with it supposedly will reduce the amount of tooth decay. Once, the trouble with fluoride is that it is always going to hook up with something else. Well, what's it going to hook up with? It would love to hook up with calcium or magnesium. And if you swallow it, it will hook up with the calcium and magnesium that's in your body. There are two nice new studies showing that if you swallow fluoride, pretty soon your bones become very dense. They look really white in an X-ray. And you can measure the bone mineral density, and it's greatly increased. And the strength of the bone is greatly decreased. The fluoride that I was talking about, going to kill the germs on the teeth, well, it doesn't really do that, but it does kill the bones. It kills the cells inside the bone, so you end up with a hollow bone with very few cells inside it. So, snaps. So, are there any studies showing increased risk of hip fracture? Why, yes. There are 4 of them published in the Journal of the American Medical Association in just the last 2 decades. So, yes, we've got epidemiological studies showing it does that. We got animal studies. We got human studies. They tried to use, because it makes your bones dense, they tried to use fluoride to treat osteoporosis. And they had case control studies. They had to stop them. Had to stop them after 4 years, because after 4 years, all the hip fractures were in the people taking the fluoride. So fluoride is an element. It's one of the periodic chart elements. It's not something that's made, but what's in the water is something that's made. It's hydro water, fluo, fluoride, silicic. Isn't that sand? Acid. And there's a patent on it. How could you patent something like that? Well, it does something unique. It extracts lead from brass. So if you have a cannon left over from the Civil War, nice old brass cannon, and you'd like to have the copper back, plop it into a vat of hydrofluosilicic acid, and it'll suck all the lead up, and then you get your copper back. So there's no way on this planet you can put a drug in the water supply and not cause harm to some people. Don't take my word for it. Google Agency for Toxic Substance Disease Registry, and go look and see what it says about vulnerable subsets. It says subsets of the population are unusually susceptible to the toxic effects of fluoride, and that includes the elderly. Elderly is anybody over 50. And that people with kidney deficiencies, people with diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So the dentists like to go around and say, well, we've been doing this for 50 years. Yeah? And at the turn of the last century, hardly anybody, 3% of the people died of cancer, and now half of them are gone too. Do you think that might have something to do with what you're doing to the water? We don't know, because we're dentists. We just fix teeth. And I say that's absolutely correct. Do not rely upon anything a dentist says about anything other than a tooth, because it's got no bearing on anything. They can't deliver babies. They can't treat bone cancer. They can't do IQ tests. It's not in their licensure. They're not trained. They don't even have an anatomy class below the waist. So why are we taking their word for it? And so now there are a number of studies, including a huge 450,000 children study. That's more children in this study done by the National Institute of Health than all of the tooth decay studies in the history of the planet in the United States combined. Well, golly, that's a pretty good sized study, isn't it? And what did they show? They showed that if you were in a community that had hydrofluosilicic acid added to the water supply, that your blood level of lead doubled if you're a kid. Who's putting it in the water? They're all in this together. There's a guy on the Metropolitan Water District, his name's Dimely, and his job is to coordinate this program throughout the Southern California region. 18 million people will be drinking their elixir. And what they try to do is they try to stop anybody from questioning the validity of their program. Well, that's an interesting question. The FDA has never approved any fluoride-containing substance intended to be swallowed for the purpose of preventing tooth decay. So their official stance is that don't swallow it. And so one of my friends wrote him about water fluoridation. And one of the questions he asked is fluoride a drug when it's used to prevent tooth decay? And the FDA wrote back that any substance used to prevent or treat a disease of man or animal is a drug, subject to regulation by the Food and Drug Administration. So they firmly established it's their obligation to regulate a drug. So he contacted him again and says, hey, well, since you've got this drug being added to the water supply, allegedly for the purpose of reducing tooth decay, and it's not approved to be ingested, and it's not a pure drug, it's contaminated hazardous waste, why don't you stop that? And so the NSF people developed the easiest standard in the world for hydrofluosilicic acid. Is that one time a year you dip a little spoonful of this stuff out and have it tested. So that's once a year you do a batch test of the product. Although it may differ from day to day, you only get one test a year. And then you furnish documentation on all the product and any contaminants. You know, there's, in my opinion, why this is happening, there are actually quite a number of books on the subject. Paul Conant just wrote one, Christopher Bryson wrote one a few years back, is that it's really clear the reason this is happening is because industry loves fluoride. It's used in almost every major process, from cement, bricks, welding, smelting of steel, aluminum, zinc, any kind of metal. It etches glass, it etches computer boards, it is used in a whole host of things. And as long as it's benign in the minds of the Americans, you don't worry about fluoride pollution. Fluoride comes out of every chimney at, for instance, a oil refinery, a chimney at a coal-fired power plant, a chimney at a refinery of almost any kind. Fluoride's leaking out, and actually one of the reasons we have the big push for water fluoridation right now is because of the Clean Air Act. They used to leak it into the air, and that would kill the forest downstream or the Everglades, because most of it was coming from Florida. And so when they made them stop that and create a scrubber system to collect it, is when they found out that it was easier to give money to the dentist to go out and promote fluoridation than it was to give money to the hazardous waste recycler to take the stuff, mix it with chalk, and turn it back into a brick. So it's economics follow the money. It's all about getting rid of the stuff. The fact that it's destroying our nation is of no concern whatsoever to corporations, because corporations have no heart. They have one purpose on life, and that's to make money. If you die, fine. That's no problem for them as long as they don't have to bury you. Do you think your dentist is going to tell you? Do you think the public health department is going to tell you? There's a program for people like that. It's called WIC, Women, Infants, and Children. And it's supposed to protect women, infant, and children. So we contacted them and said, you're going to warn them about that. Nah, no response. Had to go here, had to go there. Finally worked our way all the way up to the top. The top lady said it would damage the fluoridation program if they told the mothers. We've got another program. It's called First Five. Citizens of California care about children. And we said, put a tax on cigarettes. If you want to light up a Lucky, fine. You're going to give some money to make children healthy. And so then they put together a committee of people, city fathers or county fathers. Ron Roberts was the head of the one here in San Diego. And what they said was, well, gee, those kids probably need some more hydrofluorosilicic acid. So they coughed up the money. Let's see, we give you money to help children, and you use that money to buy hazardous waste that's contaminated with arsenic and lead that will demonstrably harm them. I don't think so. And I don't think we have to let them put the product in the water supply, because it's never been legitimately approved as a water additive. And since the Food and Drug Administration says it's a drug, make them approve it. So if you really want to do something about this, get off your ever-expanding derriere and get to work, because it has millions of dollars behind it. And that the only way we can stop it is for individuals to put their shoulder to the wheel and go to work, because the money is what talks. But if you pack the city hall with people, if you pack the courtyard with people, if you pack stadiums full of people that are concerned about the health of the children, concerned about the quality of water in Southern California, concerned about products that are added to our water supply being contaminated and not safe, if you care about that, get to work.